Hello, Skoob believers, and welcome to episode number 74 of The Undiscovered Entrepreneur, and it's me, Skoob, coming at you at whatever device you happen to be listening on. Okay, so first we're going to do a couple really quick announcements before I go into the Skoob believer of the week. Now you may have noticed in my intro, I did not say DJ Skoob. That's right, I'm actually branching off the DJ and the DJ Skoob into another adventure I have going on right now on YouTube, DJ Skoob. It's still under the Undiscovered Entrepreneur, but I'm now putting out music videos to put together the DJ part of the DJ Skoob. But I'm going to leave the DJ over there for those particular videos. And the rest of the time here, when we're talking about entrepreneurship and things like that, we're going to be just Skoob. But nothing else really is going to change as far as personality-wise. I'm still going to do the Scooby-Doo thing. Look inside the show notes for links to those videos so you can enjoy those. I've devised a new type of music, kind of still EDM, but I call it IEDM, which is inspirational electronics dance music. So look into the show notes for those videos. All right, so the Scuba Leaver of the week is Cheryl Field. Now, Cheryl, you might remember in my last episode of Undiscovered Advice, she was one of the speakers I had there, and she reached out to one of my other speakers, Janice, who made a collaboration out of the whole thing. So I just want to say thank you, Cheryl, for taking the opportunity and for being a Scuba Leaver to begin with and putting out that advice for us, but then reaching out on top of that to other people that you might be able to collaborate with. And I think that's just amazing. Thank you so much for being a Scuba Believer, Cheryl. All right, so our episode today, hey, I got to ask you, have you ever felt like you're failing at entrepreneurship? Well, I got to tell you, Sandra and Tim from The Great Discovery will completely change your perspective. In this candid video, they share how pivoting their initial failures allowed them to become a global e-learning platform and to flourish. It's been absolutely amazing. You'll be inspired by their vulnerability and embracing mistakes as first attempts in learning, and their wisdom on aligning businesses with their core values. But the real goal here is hearing their massive goal about becoming the world's largest e-learning platform in just 6 months through pioneering multilingual technology. You got to see some of this. Don't miss this insightful peek into the mindset required to turn failures into worldwide impact. So let's listen to Tim and Sandra. Salutations, Scuba Believers, and we are here again with another amazing entrepreneur. But I don't have one experienced entrepreneur. No, I got two experienced entrepreneurs all in one shot for you today. Today we're talking to Sandra and Tim. Hi, guys.
Hey, Skoob, how are you?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur today.
It's great to be here.
All right. So I got one kind of semi-serious question to ask you. Are you ready for it?
We're ready.
All right, here we go. Are you Scuba Believers?
We are Scuba Believers.
I am absolutely a Skoob believer.
Woohoo! All right. Yes, thank you so much for being Scuba Believers, y'all. I really appreciate you. So what I'm going to have you do here at the very front is just kind of have you give a chance to introduce yourselves, tell us who you are, what you represent, and all that good stuff. Tim, why don't you go first?
Sure thing. Thanks, Skoob. I appreciate it. My name is Tim Taylor. I'm the co-CEO of a company called The Great Discovery. We're a global e-learning community going through over 200 countries and translating material into over 100 different languages. And the best part, if you're a course creator, you don't have to sell it yourself. It's sold out for you by your content is distributed worldwide. If you're a learner, you're actually learning from some of the top experts in the world in your local language right at your house.
Fantastic. And Sandra, how about you?
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Sandra Harry, and I am the other co-CEO of The Great Discovery. And yes, Tim explained about the e-learning platform, but there's more. We have an e-learning platform, but we are also founded, and our foundation is on something called Six Sigma, which is a big business management system. And everybody's going, business management system, e-learning, how did that all come together? Well, my late husband was Dr. Michael J. Harry, and he was the co-creator of Six Sigma. And he wanted to bring Six Sigma down to everybody in the world, not just businesses. And he did that through a course called The Great Discovery. So that is where the name The Great Discovery came from. And as you're going through The Great Discovery and empowering yourself and elevating your learning, learning to solve problems, increasing your odds of success in everything you do with it, you need knowledge. So there's the reason that we started the e-learning platform, to help people learn and empower humanity across the world.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sandra. And just so all Skoob believers know, I'm also a part of the Great Discovery. I've been in here for 2 months, and I got to tell you, it's been mind-blowing, the kind of camaraderie from all the people that I've talked to, all the new people that I've been experiencing, and of course, all the help to actually get things going for myself. It's been absolutely amazing. But that's enough about me. I want to talk a little bit more about you. So, Sandra, in the first year of actually getting your business started, what kind of some of the pitfalls or problems that you had getting started?
Well, Skoob, it was typical that a lot of people have. I had the content and the Great Discovery, the course, and we were continuing to work on that since my late husband's death. But I really needed someone to come in and help us with the vision and really guide us in how we were going to get this out to the world. So my background is finance and Six Sigma. I'm an executive master black belt in Six Sigma, but I'm not so good on the how are we going to get it out and how are we going to monetize it and all that great stuff. So I had to wait for someone to walk into my life that was able to do that. And that Tim walked into my life, and he agreed to be the other co-CEO. And just to let everybody know, he is also my husband, my new husband. So it was a match made in heaven.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. I almost hate to ask Tim now because I don't know if anything will come up, but let's see. Tim, how about you? When you were first getting things started for your business, what was it like and what kind of pitfalls have we come across?
Well, when we first started, it was the pitfalls that we had as we first started off with the Great Discovery course, and it is a powerful course. And I think you, Scoob, you probably are familiar with this. You've done something that's you're so close to it that all you see is this, wow, this is the greatest thing ever. And so we were really excited about the Great Discovery course. And as we started getting down the road, we discovered that, no pun on the Great Discovery, but there are an awful lot of personal development courses that are out there. They're everywhere. And everybody believes theirs is the greatest. So it's coming out from a starting position, even though with a 40-year background like Six Sigma, it's coming out in that starting position. It's sort of like you're an unknown, and it's a slow growth model. And so the way we did that is we pivoted. We came back around and said, what can we do to change this dynamic? We're a small fish in a huge pond. What can we do to bring the pond into us? And so we created the e-learning platform to bring in learners from all different places, get them on our platform. And then we discovered we can do some pretty amazing stuff with technology. And we did this monetized global e-learning plan. And it's been kind of moving like gangbusters ever since.
Yeah, it's amazing to me how the when the technology finally catches up to what you're actually trying to accomplish, how well things actually take off because you've already had the idea for so long. We just had to wait for everything to catch up so we could actually do what we wanted to do.
Mhm.
And I'm so glad that you pivoted. A lot of new entrepreneurs kind of have a rough time making that pivot into something else that they really feel it's going to be good, but they're not sure if they want to do it. I'm going to be changing what I'm going to be doing. So that's kind of a fear kind of thing when I think about how we have to pivot into something else.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I'm going to add on to that. My late husband asked me to carry on his legacy, his Six Sigma legacy, which was huge. And then he asked me to launch the Great Discovery because he was ill and he didn't get it launched to the world. And so that was a big ask. And so to me, when we had to pivot, it was a little earth shattering. Just like you say, most entrepreneurs, it was very difficult for me. But when I sat down and looked at the whole picture, the business sense in me went, you know what, this is the right way to go. And we're going to be able to offer people so much more than just the Great Discovery. And like I said, when you're going through the Great Discovery, say, I want to get healthy. A lot of people want to get healthy these days, right? And I'm going down the proven path, which is what we call it in the Great Discovery. To get healthy, I need to learn about nutrition. So where are they going to learn about nutrition? Right on our e-learning platform, right there, right? And so it was beautiful, but it was a little bit difficult for me at first to realize that the Great Discovery was going to be secondary to the e-learning platform. But I do know that at some point it will probably transition and will start to be even with it, or maybe bigger, right, Tim?
Let's see.
Yeah, it's amazing to me how as if we follow that fear, that little thing in the back of our head that we're kind of scared of, but we go ahead and do it anyway, what happens on the other side of that fear could be a fantastic, whether it's moving on to the next level or something that we learn from going through that fear and going, okay, I want to do this or I didn't want to do this. It really becomes a great thing. So I personally feel that following your fear is a great thing.
Mhm. You have to embrace it. I completely agree.
What's kind of interesting is the Great Discovery course itself is really the world's premier program for problem solving. And so when I say we pivoted, we actually followed the Great Discovery course. Sandra's been at it for decades. She's been at it for a long time, studying it. She's an executive master black belt. Me, not so much, right? I've got my skill set, and that wasn't one of them. So as I started studying more about the Great Discovery, where you're identifying your core values and your restraining forces and all the different things and pivot, that's where it comes into that pivoting. You have to face those fears by measuring them. You analyze them, you recognize what they are, and then you plan your way through them rather than you just have to step back and take a good look at it all, walk around it a little bit and get a good view.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's good to be able to step back and see the entire thing before moving on to the next level of whatever it is that you do. That's some great advice there, Tim. Thank you. When we're getting started, when we all get started and are starting to move things along, is there a pitfall that kind of gave you a good lesson? Okay, I'm glad I had this pitfall because this was the outcome of that. Anything like that ever happened to you?
I have to say, yeah, to me, right after Michael passed, I wanted to launch the Great Discovery so badly, even though I knew that it still needed work, but I wanted it so bad to be able to do that for him. I kind of forced it, and it was a train wreck. And so I had to take a step back, and I had to pause, and I had to breathe, and I had to let the right people and let it be the right time for the product to be launched. And that was tough. It was tough taking that step back, but I learned that you can't force something. You just cannot force it. And I kind of knew inside of me, but I wanted it so bad. So pushing and forcing isn't going to make it good. It only makes it worse. So,
Yeah, let it come the way it's supposed to come.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. As far as the pitfalls go, I don't think I really saw any, but I did see some rough road. When, as an analogy I learned back in the ministry days, it's almost a macrame or a needlepoint, right? On the back side of it, when you're looking at it, when you're right in it, it's rough with dangling threads and all kinds of stuff. But when it's finally complete and it comes out on the other side, it's like, holy cow, that is amazing. Just don't look at the bottom of it and all the work that went into it to get it there, right? All the trials and errors and failures and tech glitches and bugs and money issues and personnel issues and all the things. And it all just seems to come out at the right time if we're blessed enough to be able to get there. In many cases, people walk away before the magic happens.
Yeah, I find that a lot too, where a lot of the people that throw their hands up in the air and say, "Okay, I'm done," walk away from it just before it actually should have took off.
Right.
I'd like to say that you had one shovel left before getting to the gold, and you walked away from it before you actually got to it. So that's why we want to kind of motivate ourselves to keep going. And when we feel like we don't have any motivation left, reach out to other people, find people to help motivate you to get that next shovel, so you get to that vein of gold that you've been shoveling for this whole time.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right. So I'm going to look at this from the other side now. Was there a failure you were actually proud of? I'm proud I had this failure.
Well, that's a great question for me. And this is going to sound funny, but I'm proud that I failed in my last marriage because I met Sandra. She's amazing. She was my balance and everything. You know what I'm talking about, Skoob? It's everybody's got different gifts and talents, right? My skill set, my intrinsic core values are absolutely opposite of Sandra. I mean, she is the perfect, consummate, detail-oriented person. Me, I'm a great visionary and delegator. That's together we make a fantastic team. And when we actually started out to do this as co-CEOs, we lifted a few eyebrows out there with people that were, nobody does that, right? And what our plan with this was very simple, is that failure led to a success, and we know that it's just been an amazing ride for us, I think, for every day of our lives since we've been together. And so that failure, as tough as it was in the past, and going back into marriage and personal things and stuff, it's all part of the macrame, the stuff that's underneath that needle point until you look at the top of it. It's amazing now, rough then.
Mhm. Yeah, I have to agree. The failure of me trying to force this to go right after Michael passed, when I knew it wasn't ready, was probably the best thing that happened. Because actually, I met Tim coming out of that failure, so that was amazing. Mhm.
It's amazing how, as long as we don't let that failure get to us to the point where we throw our hands up in the air and say, "That's it, I'm done," instead of taking it on and say, "Okay, this is actually to lead me to something that's going to be even greater than where I'm at now." That's where it becomes the most precious. As
Mhm.
long as we take it as, okay, this is actually, even though it didn't work out the way I'd hoped, this is going to lead me into something even greater than where I'm at now. Do you know the acronym for fail by chance?
Do tell.
Okay. I see Sandra thinking over there. No.
I've heard it. I'm trying to think of it.
I've heard quite a few of them, but
Yeah.
I'd love to hear yours.
Yeah. Come on, Sandra, you can get it.
It's false something. It starts with false, right?
No,
No.
but that's a different one. But I'm
That's
going
the
to talk
fear
about that
one,
one too. Don't
right?
worry. First attempt in learning.
Oh, no, I
First
haven't
attempt in
heard
learning. That is
that.
good.
Yeah, and when we fail about something, we have to understand it's a learning process, not so much as a fail or a give up process. You learn something in that failure to move you on to something else. Now, the other one you're talking about is one I talk about all the time. We did touch on it a little bit earlier. It's fear, false evidence appearing real. Yeah, there's Sandra gets it now. So, but I do tend to talk a lot about fear in my podcast because that seems to be the one thing that keeps everybody kind of held back. They're they fear that failure. That's how they always seem to coincide with each other when we talk about fear and failure.
Because fear leads to uncertainty, and the two of them together is it shuts you down. You literally cannot process when you get so much fear and you have so much uncertainty. It will just shut someone down, and it's debilitating, is what it is. It's very scary. So one of the things I do with fear, I have fear. Everybody has fear, but I just submit. I just give it to God and I move on. And I just say, you know what? I got to give this to you, and I know you'll handle it for me. And he always does. And I just pick myself up and move forward. So,
Yeah, we as humans, we fear change. We fear something that we're not, that's the unknown. So when that happens, we tend to want to shy away from it. Now, me personally, I use it as a guide. If I fear it, I got to go do it. And that's actually one of the reasons why I jumped into the Great Discovery is because I wasn't sure what it was, but it seemed so great. Even though I was like, oh, I'm not sure, so let's do it. But yeah, it's been quite the ride since then. So another thing I'd like to kind of touch on too is as how we can find other people that complement each other. The weaknesses we have are strengths in other people. So if we could find that person that has that strength, that little piece of the puzzle that we're missing, we could turn it into something great. That's why a lot of people look for partners or even just friends that can fill in that little empty space that we have that we're not 100% sure on, or that's not quite in our zone of genius. Tim has his zone of genius. Sandra, you have your zone of genius, but the two together just turns it into a great powerhouse, and that's just what I really like to see.
yeah, and we have a lot of fun too.
Well, fun's always a part of it.
So we made one agreement when we became co-CEOs. Everybody's like, how do you guys do it? You're married and you're co-CEOs, and that's going to be a disaster. And I'm like, no. We sat down and we said, okay, what's going to happen if we both can't agree on something? It's the number one thing we needed to sort out, right? What if we can't both agree? Then things will stay the way it is. And it's worked, and actually it's served us well, and we haven't had any issues, and we have a great relationship. So it's been a lot of fun. We have a lot more fun coming too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's a lot more of that coming your way. That's for darn sure.
We've also really found some great team members too on our corporate team. We're attracting the missing pieces that we have, people with the talents and skills that we don't have. I don't know about you, Skoob, but it's I can do a lot of stuff. I don't like doing a lot of the things I'm really good at, right? So I tend to focus on the things that I'm really good at. Something, if we have to do them, until I find somebody that really likes to do those things and does them, and then I can get on to doing the things I'm really good at and I enjoy doing too. Sometimes the production work and the behind the scenes stuff and the detail things, I'm maybe adept at it because I've had so many years, but it's not my favorite, right? And then you line up and you find somebody that just ticks all their boxes, right? They're just, yes, they're all excited about doing something that you're not, and you found the right person.
Exactly. I give you a good example of that. I love to edit. Every single podcaster I've ever talked to said editing is terrible. It's hard. It takes a long time. But you know what? I love doing it. So it's really within my wheelhouse. So if somebody else says, "Hey, can you edit this for me?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem. Bam, 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 done." But if we could find the people that the stuff that we don't like to do or we like to do but just need to delegate, we delegate out to somebody where it's in their zone of genius. So you're going to get the top-notch work from that person and be able to use that in whatever it is that you present.
Yeah. Well, God bless you. And Sandra, I think we just found our video editor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
We'll talk after. We'll talk after. All right. So that's great. That's awesome. I'm going to look at it a little different now at the same time. Currently, in all your vast accomplishments you've made up to this point, what is the one thing you're most proud of accomplishing? I made you think.
Tim, you want to go first?
Well, yeah, that sounds like a punt. There you go. I mean, the thing that I'm most proud of accomplishing really is it's really just waking up every day and being joyful in an environment in the world the way that it is. It's I think it's my biggest accomplishment is really just being fairly grounded and easygoing, and somewhere along the line I developed a real love and care for people, and it's not fake. You know what I'm talking about? I don't, that sounds a little strange when you're talking about it yourself, but for me it's sort of like, I don't know if it's an accomplishment or just a gift, and it comes from that school of hard knocks when you're knocked down so many times that you get up and you just start recognizing the grace that you've been given, that you can pour out on everyone else, because everyone falls. You know, if you think you're really standing firm, watch out, because look what's coming around the corner. And accomplishments business wise, they're all, you know, I love business. It's all the relationships that matter. I think it's the most important thing. You screw up so many times, and when you finally get it right, it's just, wow, that's pretty cool.
I think my biggest accomplishment is I wake up every day and I live out my core values every day of my life. And I have the freedom of choice to do that. And that is an amazing place to live. I wake up every day and I love to get up. I love to do our work. I love to work with Tim. It's amazing. It's just, yeah, there are rough times. There's sad times. Things happen in life, but I'm able to live a life of love and happiness every day I wake up. My core values, I live them out every day. And my bigger accomplishment would be if I could get the rest of the planet, everyone to be able to do that. And the Great Discovery can help people do that. It's one of the things we work on is our intrinsic core values and aligning what we're doing in our life with them. Life is so much better. I wish I could have everybody in the world wake up and feel the way I do every day. It's amazing. I think that's probably the biggest accomplishment.
Fantastic. And we do that one person at a time. One
Wow.
person at a time, because you know what happens is you change that person's life and their life has changed so much, they change somebody else's life, and so on and so on and so on. And it starts somewhere, and it starts with people like Sandra and Tim, both of them, kind of living these values and teaching them to other people so we could all have that freedom. And it's all about the people too. Yeah, I'm choking up a little bit. That was absolutely awesome.
It is. And you know what? It's amazing. It is. This is some of the happiest times I've been happy my whole life, but this has been amazing to be able to live this dream out, this mission that Michael gave me, and to watch how it's affected people and changed people's lives. And it just, there's no greater love and feeling than to be able to pass that on to people. It's been amazing.
Well, think about something else, Skoob. It's with the very concept of what we're doing with the Great Discovery and the e-learning side of it. We talk. You've heard some of our talks before, and one of the biggest driving forces is really just looking around with open eyes, identifying the issues that we have, and a lot of the problems that we have around the world come from inequities. We hear them about all the time, and this world isn't a fair place, right? Nobody ever said it would be. But one of the inequities that are almost never discussed is the inequities in the distribution of knowledge. Certain people, very, very small groups of people, have access to everything they need, all the spiritual knowledge, all the temporal knowledge, all the education, all the academic learning, all the science, all the relational information that they need. But vast majorities of the population worldwide, particularly in developing countries, and even here where people really think they've got it all together, are missing the knowledge part. It's actually literally kept from them. And so our mission is to empower humanity. I think, I don't know about you, but you get to a point in life where I don't know if there's a certain age or a certain day or circumstance, but there's a little trigger that comes off and says, there's more to life than business. There's more to life than another big house or another fine car or an airplane or how much money you got in the bank. Or good fishing pole is always exempt. I call it that. But it's those things, when you get to that point and you just recognize it's about legacy. Our time here is brief, and the impact that we have and what we do to carry on and just to finish well, I think is really what it all comes down to. We see what's happening around the world, and there are communities of people. Their sole source of input has been from the people within their ecosystem, and who are equally in that same environment where they've been devoid of knowledge and access to it. So the system that we're creating now, we can take top experts from anywhere in the world, and people can learn on demand what they want to learn, what's their heart's desire, and deliver it right to their home, and they can earn while they're learning, right? Even where there's no other economic opportunity around, they can get up and start earning. They can do something right there. And how do they learn? By helping those people around them. Tell them you want to become a computer programmer, you learn and tell somebody else how they can become a plumber, somebody else how they can go in their academic studies or whatever. Somebody else can do whatever skill that they want to. And by doing that, you're going to create a significant amount of revenue for yourself. And for us, that's what makes the world go around. But it's a driver for sure.
Learning what we can by helping others is probably one of the best things you can do for yourself and other people at the same time too. Because now you're learning different things and keeping your options open and learning just all around you. And you never know what's that one thing that you're going to learn from somebody else that's just going to take you to that next level. Why not learn as much as you can when you can? And then when you do learn something, teach somebody else that too.
That's right.
Right? Now you're teaching somebody else, and at the same time, you're learning yourself. Because one of the best ways to teach somebody is to learn. And one of the best ways to learn is to teach somebody. It just doesn't get any better than that. So, Tim, that's some fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, that was great. That was really, really good. Thank you.
Oh boy.
I know I'm a ham. I'm sorry. Okay, so that's why I'm a podcaster. Okay. Let's give you a little example here. If you were to come across somebody that you knew was a brand new entrepreneur just getting started in their entrepreneur adventure, what advice would you give them before they actually jumped into an entrepreneurship?
I think one of the first things I would do is I would have them really sit down and do some work on what are their intrinsic core values and help them really sort out what they are. Those are our internal core values. And the mistake that we see over and over and over again is that most people go out and say, oh, Skoob's core values are X, Y, and Z, and I want mine to be that because I want to just be like him, right? And so they take on other people's core values thinking that they can become theirs, and that's not the truth. The truth is that we are all born with our intrinsic core values, and they develop in us by the time we're about 8 or 9 years old, and they stay with us. We may think we have other core values because we are not in touch with ours, but I would suggest that person sit down and really get in touch and really make sure that at least one of those core values is in alignment with entrepreneurship, and at least entrepreneurship, and then at least one or more is in alignment with what focus they're going to go into. I mean, that is the first thing I would do with someone.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sandra. That's awesome. Tim, for you?
Well, there's two things, and first, I'm speaking by the school of hard knocks, and I've done businesses that didn't work. They were abject failures, and usually they were driven by impulse, something that I saw that looked really cool. I didn't spend much time thinking about it or going through it. Just looked like a great opportunity, and it presented itself right there. And those things happen sometimes. And like Sandra's saying, it was outside of my core values of what I was doing. I was ill-equipped to handle it at the point. I didn't look into what the potentials and researching and due diligence on that business. Yeah, and since then, it comes down to a little bit more simplistic. It comes down to pray before you're going to do any type of a business. For me, where I've been highly successful is stop when I heard about it, stop and pray about it. And then the second application is, this going to sound corny? Go through that Great Discovery course. I'm telling you, it is absolutely just, it lines that you're going to start with step 0, identifying your mission. What is it you're going to do? And then you work your way back through it. It's reverse planning on your point. And if you start recognizing those, you start seeing those restraining forces. And if they're something that you can't find a way around, don't do it. Find another mission, right? Find something that you can prove that path. You get the proven path to where you want to go in your mind. It's like a good golfer. When you can envision the ball going up around the corner and hitting and rolling down that hill right into the hole. When you see it in your mind, then you can actually do it. But until you see it, you can't get it sometimes.
So step 2 of the Great Discovery. Step 1 is identifying your dream or mission. Step 2 is intrinsic core values. And then do they align? So it is very, very powerful.
Fantastic. I gotta tell you, Tim, I'm a miniature golfer myself. I don't do real golf, but that's okay. That's a great analogy. I love it.
I can knock a squirrel out of a tree at about 5 yards. No problem.
Yeah. All right. That's better than me, but we'll talk about that later. Okay. The thing is, something I've noticed too, and a lot of people that I talk to, I tend to find out that if they follow the money, it doesn't tend to work out as well as they had hoped, because they're not following their core values. They're not following what they really feel good about themselves inside. They're trying to follow the dollar sign. That never works out. No matter how hard you try, if it does work out, you feel terrible doing it because you're not really helping anybody except for yourself. And when you're only helping yourself and not other people, you don't get that same warm fuzzy feeling in the chest about what you've actually accomplished. So I try to tend to shy away from anything like that. And if I do go to something, I'd say, okay, how is this helping other people first before this is helping me? It's always better to serve first and then think about how that's going to go, because if you make any money doing that, it's a byproduct of how well you serve your customers. To kind of reiterate what Sandra was saying, we really don't want to compare ourselves to other people. I mean, okay, yeah, people will have great core values and that kind of thing, but we don't want to do exactly what they do, because they're their own people. They have their own experiences. They have their own judgments that they've done to get to where they are. You can't duplicate that, because if you duplicate that, it's going to be wrong, because it's not you. It's not your adventure. It's not the same thing that we went through. So instead, think about what you did last week. Think about what you did last month. Compare yourself to yourself. I say that a lot in my podcast. That way, not only can you see what you've accomplished, but you can almost even see where you're going with it.
I like to tell people, where are you spending your money, your personal money? What do you spend it on? What pictures do you take? What do you spend your time on? That's what you should be focused on, because that's who you are. That's coming from your intrinsic core values.
Exactly. That's awesome. All right, so I like to do this with all my guests, is to get a 6-month goal for you and your company and what you're trying to accomplish. So, Sandra and Tim, where do you see the Great Discovery in the next 6 months?
Well, we'll definitely be global. We are headed that way fast and furious right now. So that is definitely going to happen. Beyond that, Tim, what do you think?
I think I agree. We're at our goal, Skoob, is to be the largest e-learning community in the world, and we'll do it in short order. We're good at this. And the different where we'll be in 6 months is going to be essentially in most countries in the world with live two-way communications. So this is what our launch is coming up. Pretty oddly enough, about 6 months from now, it will be in October. We're doing our global simulcast launch where we're heading out to Asia this and next week, and then we're going over working in different areas. So we're setting up key distribution centers and key teams. And in October, we'll have a live simulcast with live events. So we're doing an event simultaneously in Manila, another one in Kuala Lumpur, another one in Dubai, another one in Bangkok, and one in London, I think, a couple other places, Italy, and all at the same time, but they're all interactive. I mean, the magic happens when humanity can talk to each other. And right now we've got one-way translation that's pretty cool. But we've got what's rolling out is already in beta is live two-way translation. Imagine doing your podcast and being able to have your listeners or your guests actually be able to communicate with you 60 languages simultaneously in real time, your voice, your mannerisms, your energy, and being able to understand how many world's problems can we solve when people can actually talk with each other without someone saying he said, she said, right? And interpreting it for them. So that's where we're going to be is it's not a huge goal, but it's massive.
That's one step above huge is massive. So that's what we're going to be there. That's amazing. That's awesome. So what I'd like to do with y'all, if it's okay with you, I'll actually like to follow up with y'all in about 6 months and to see if we've actually established that, see if we're worldwide, which I know we will be, but we're going to do it anyway, and and see how that goes. Is that okay with y'all?
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
All right. So I got one kind of final question for you, and this has been bugging me since I got on with you. Tell me about if you're watching on YouTube right now, you could see it. If you're not watching on YouTube, go over to YouTube because you got to see this. The little puppy dogs in the books behind you. What's that about?
Well, Six Sigma is kind of where we started. Six Sigma was for businesses. And then I told you my late husband was the co-creator. And then he wanted to bring Six Sigma down to the individual. So we created the Great Discovery, the course. So we taught it to adults. We had such huge success. We said, I wonder if we could teach this to teenagers to help them get a start in their life and really get them in tune with their intrinsic core values. So we did, and we were very successful. Teens love the Great Discovery. We have a whole teen program. Then we said, what if we could teach this down to the little ones? These are K through 3, teaching 5 to 8-year-olds the Six Sigma way of thinking, the Great Discovery, through Bentley's series. And Bentley is our little dog. He's sitting right here under my desk, I think. Oh. And so there's going to be a series of 6, and it walks the little ones through the proven path of the Great Discovery. And so we're piloting them in a school district right now in the US just to get some data. Six Sigma, we collect data and we torture it to tell us all kinds of good stuff, right? So this is 4 of the books. So we go from Bentley's dream, which is the mission, to his treasures, which is his values, to his purpose, which is what does he want to do? Where does he want to go? Then he starts on his journey. And then his powers, Bentley's power is book 5, and that's about his forces, his restraining and driving forces. And then Bentley's success is book 6. It's about where he takes his success and he applies it. He becomes a service animal and he helps others. And it's amazing. So book 4 and 5 are almost in print, and book 6 is in illustrations right now. So yes, that is the Great Discovery for children. That's what
nice. Now, if we want to get our hands on these books or follow to get the rest of these books when they do come out, how do we do that?
They are on the platform, thegreatdiscovery.com. Go to shop and look for the Bentley books. They are on there. We have book 1 through 3. 4 through 5 are not available yet. They'll be coming soon. They're in print, so they'll be coming soon. But yes, we've already started selling them, and they're amazing. We also do a workbook, which is a lesson book. So we have math and some reading and basic stuff for K through 3rd grade. That is a supplemental workbook that goes with them also.
All right. That's awesome. Thank you for that. That clears it all up for me. Appreciate that. Okay. All
And
right.
now we have to know about the dog behind you. What's the deal?
That's Skoob.
Oh, Bill, you mean this thing?
Yeah, the dog, right?
My dog back here. I'm like, what are you talking
Right.
about? Oh yeah, that's a green screen.
Oh, the
Okay,
green
so
screen dog. You forgot it was there. Your green screen was a cat yesterday. I got it.
okay, so as my stage name is Skoob, right? And the reason why it's everybody else knows this, but I'm going to explain it to you. The reason it's Skoob is because I do the perfect Scooby Doo voice and laugh. So you could say, "Hey, Skoob," and I could go, "Row."
That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so that's been with me for probably going on about 30 years now. So it's just kind of became part. Now, let me explain what's behind me. Now, since Warner Brothers owns the likeness of Scooby Doo, right? I can't put him as my logo. So this is Scooby Doo as a pug. If Scooby Doo was a pug, this is Scooby Doo as a pug. Now, the reason I did it this way is because my daughter is an animator,
Mm.
and my son's favorite dog is a pug. So she actually drew this.
Oh.
Wow, fantastic.
And then the tie here, I wear.
Oh, that's great. I
And then
love it.
I don't think it'll work right now, but it actually plays like a piano. I have a little. This is a little speaker on top here, and it plays like a regular piano.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So
Really?
it's just the different parts of me all together into a brand. And that's really why I do what I. That's what all this is about.
Love it.
So.
It's really
Too, I
cool.
love it. I love it.
All right. That's okay. We keep talking about me. This is the part about you. Okay. So what I'd like you to do here is just go ahead and take a minute and give us the whole thing, where we find you, all the good information. So if we want to follow you and the Great Discovery, how do we do that? Okay, ready, set, go.
So we are the Great Discovery Official on both Facebook and Instagram. You can find us online at thegreatdiscovery.com. And Tim and I are both very easy to get a hold of. It's Tim at thegreatdiscovery.com and Sandra at thegreatdiscovery.com. How was that? Both of us are on LinkedIn also.
Awesome. Tim, anything for you? Does that pretty much sum it up?
I think she's pretty much got it. She's the detail person. I just delegated all that good work to her.
Okay, that's why she started speaking and not you. Now it makes sense. Okay. All right, Sandra, Tim, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope we get to see more of each other as time goes on. And I will be following up with you in those 6 months, okay?
Sounds
Okay,
great.
you got it. And now that we've been on here, Skoob, we are no longer undiscovered entrepreneurs. We've been discovered.
Exactly. Now he's
That's why
figured
it's
it out,
great
ladies and
discovery.
gentlemen. Yes. All right, Scoop
Thank you
Believers,
so
make
much.
sure yeah, you're very welcome. All right, Scoop Believers, make sure you stay tuned for the wrap up. All right, everybody, thank you. Have a good evening. Bye-bye. All right, Scoop Believers, that was just, I really love Sandra and Tim getting together and being able to both be on the podcast. That's just fantastic. It's really hard to get two people at once onto a podcast because of scheduling and that kind of thing. But I got to tell you, there's some fantastic people. It was so great to have them on the podcast. I really liked being able to talk about the pivot as we kind of move things along and we change things. We can't be afraid to pivot and move into something else if we need to. Make sure you check out what you're doing first, but don't be afraid to pivot into something else that might actually even be greater. And don't be afraid that if it's not that great, you could always pivot back or just go somewhere else. That's one of the nice things about it being an entrepreneur is you don't need to wait for permission for somebody to do something different or get permission from somebody else to do something different, something new, or go back to whatever it was you were doing. And I got to tell you, they both complement each other nicely. I love how they work together as a team to answer all the questions. And if they're doing that, then they're great leaders because they complement each other in their leadings. It's fantastic. We talked about failure. We talked about their core values. Oh, so strong on the core values and what they're doing. And not comparing ourselves to other people, but comparing ourselves to ourselves. Something I always talk about in the podcast. And I love it. Time for an update for what I'm doing and what I'm trying to accomplish. If you want to join me in finding out more about the Great Discovery, it's been amazing so far, and I think we all as entrepreneurs can benefit from it. Join me in an event that I've put together. Go to tuepodcast.net/event to schedule in and join me in this event that I'm putting together to explain to you, the Skoob Believers, about how the Great Discovery works. So I really hope I get to see you there. Also, coming up July 7th, that is a Sunday, I'm going to start putting out the new segment, Business Conversations with Pi. That's right, we're actually now, starting July 7th, going to be putting out 3 episodes a week. I'm not sure how I'm pulling it off, but it's going to work. We are publishing 3 times a week starting July 7th. So please, I need your help with that. If you want to ask an AI a question about your business, go to tuepodcast.net/ASKPI as Ask Pi, and I'll be happy to ask my AI friend the question that you have and give you the credits for asking that question. All right, we're going to keep this one kind of short because I know we're all busy and we're all doing our things. Make sure you stay tuned for Friday where we have our next edition of Undiscovered Advice, where we have 5 entrepreneurs with amazing advice for you. All right, Skoob believers, thank you so much. You have a great day. Bye.